Tristan, and welcome to Plastic Oddities. Today I'm back with the next installment in my How to Build Stuff series. I'll link the playlist up here or down here. I know I'll work it out eventually how to do all that YouTube techie stuff. But this section of the series is going to be focusing on my originally stated goal of being able to turn, or not turn, that's probably a little bit arrogant, to play around with this kit, which in my opinion is probably one of the crappiest builds that one can get as a Gundam builder, and just to see what I can do with it to make it a little bit better. So as a bit of background, these are what we call, at least here in Australia, I'm sure they do have a proper name, is a convention kit. So when you go to a convention, usually an anime convention, or a place that does what we call a build and take setup, so they'll give you like a half-hour, tables, tools, and all that type of thing, and you get to try Gunpla for the first time, and you'll get one of these. Though I should also point out that at least here in Australia, these kits are being slowly phased out because they're actually designed for kids over in Japan, and I don't have an open, oh I do have an open one here. They are designed for kids as a basic introduction thing. And speaking to the official distributor here, that's Hobbyco down in Sydney, and their main guy Ryan, he's saying that people, they find these kits too easy because most of the time the grab and go customers are actually adults, they're not kids. So I don't have one here. I'm really hoping that I might be able to get some to review, hint Ryan, but Bandai has now released, I guess, an adult version of the grab and go kit, where it actually comes in a proper box and has a little bit, has a few more parts to it, and a little bit more complicated build. And they actually look pretty good as well. Like the final product doesn't look so chunky and crappy like this. They're effectively a scaled down HG kit. So I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on some of those so that I can have a look at. But as I said, these are the existing convention kits as of the leftovers, and I was very lucky to get a couple of these from Ryan to actually use with my students. And this is like the last couple of sets that I've got that I've been playing around with. So as I said, the aim is to take this kit and to see what I can do with it in order to make it a little bit better. So I'll show you some of my ideas. I'll just have to switch the camera setup, and we'll go through that and see how things pan out. Okay, so some of the things that I'm intending to do is to sharpen or trim down the V-fins on the shoulder guard, and again I'll show these as I'm going through. Just sort of bulk it out and to put some more coverage on it, because if this were real, there's like massive holes in it that would cause damage. I want to see if I can actually get the elbow joint to bend. I want to deepen the vents here just a little bit. Wrist joint, I want to actually make it so it can turn. The feet, I want to fill them in because as you'll see they're hollow. Again, I want to try and do a moving knee joint. Now the knee joint and the elbow joint are probably the two most difficult things on this kit because it's going to involve a lot of cutting, and potential to screw it up is like really there. There is a gap that's here in the leg and here in the arm, and I want to fill those in again because they just look stupid. And again, I'll show you pictures of those when I get in. There's a little hole on the side, again, really easy one I want to fill in. And the other major thing I want to have a go at is actually being able to rotate this waist. So at the moment it's locked in place, so there's no turning at all. So I really want to give it some movement in, I guess, 3 of the 4 major pivot or joint areas. So that's kind of like the goal. All right, now as to what that will look like, and again I sat down last night and did this all out, so I kind of have a bit of a vague idea of what I'm doing. So I'm going to use some magnets on the wrist joint. The shoulder guard, I'm going to actually, so this is the gap here, so I'm going to put a little rail on the inside and then put some plate over it. And I put a rail here as well. Probably I don't need to actually. And again, just put in a small piece to about here, just again to fill that gap. So it kind of looks like that type thing, and fill that gap in completely down here, because, you know, it looks a bit stupid. Having said that, if I do that, there's not going to be much movement that way, but I don't think that will really matter. Another thing I might actually have a crack at, just thinking about now, is actually put a rotate here so it can turn that way. See how we go. Like I said, things to think of. The holes being filled in, so that's pretty simple. Just a bit of putty in there, and that's that gap that I was talking about. Again, it just looks stupid to have these gaps, so I just want to fill that in a little bit. The waist joint is probably going to be a little bit more work, because you can see that doesn't pull apart, but the front of it actually comes off. So what I'm thinking is just a simple cut through there, and either a magnet or actually a poly cap, a ball joint, not too sure. With the knee joint and the elbow joint, but I'll just focus on the knee joint for a moment. So it's going to involve cutting in and cutting in, cutting out. These actually separate, so I'll just show you one that's separate here. Yeah, cutting in and around here and turning this whole area into a joint so it will turn like this. This is going to be the hard bit. So as I said, I'm going to have to really give some thought to that. And, you know, again, just so I don't waste my time and effort that I put in. How did this go? Something like that. Yeah, I don't know. We're making shit up. So with the elbow and knee joint, I'm probably going to make either a T joint or a H joint, or I don't know. I could probably just do it with magnets as well. I'm really not too sure. So as I said, from here up, simple. This one, a little bit of thought and a little bit of effort is going to be required. Alright, so I've just realised that my camera wasn't running for step one, so I'll just quickly run through again what I've done. I've taken the V-fin and I've chopped off these little annoying safety nubby things. This is actually a different size V-fin, so that's why they look different. But yeah, they had these little knobby things that were on the end here, and they're obviously there because this is a kid's kit, and, you know, children sticking things in their eyes and stuff like that. So all I did was take my cutters and made sure that the flat side was lined up against the flat side that I wanted to cut. Get that in the shot. And just trim. Pretty simple. Then got sanding stick and sanded it down. You know, again, not too difficult a thing to do. Yeah, so the other thing that I realised, I said, because the camera wasn't running, was I took some 2-part putty. It's this stuff here. So just mixed up a little bit of it. It's a Tamiya brand. Epoxy 2-part, very quick putty. And these arms have these holes in it that the shield jams into. Yeah, pretty simple design. But obviously there's a hole on each arm depending if you want to make him a left-hander or a right-hander. So I just took some of this putty and very carefully worked it into the hole using, you know, miracle toothpick. So I'll let that dry, and I'm really annoyed, as I said, that camera wasn't working. Because there's lots of really good tips and stuff that I put in there. And we'll go from there and just let that dry. The remaining putty, as I said, I want to fill in the feet, but I'm not going to use my good putty for that. So I'll actually end up using Milliput, which is like a cheapy nasty one, just to fill that in. And on this foot, I'll show you another way of filling the gap as well. So that's like steps 1 and 2 done on the kit. All right, so step 3 is filling this gap, and I said I'll do it 2 different ways, an easy-ish way and a a little bit more detailed, but there's still a fairly simple way of doing it. So this is milliput. Again, it's a two-part, putty, general purpose putty. It's really not designed for modeling specifically. Like the Tamiya stuff is designed for modeling. It's very smooth and sands really well. This stuff is a little bit more gritty, doesn't sand quite as good, but it still does the job. So what we'll do is cut off two relatively equal sizes. I reckon, yeah, about that much. This stuff, as I said, it can be fun to work with. But as I said, it does stop. And you got like one that's really, really, really solidly friggin' hard, and another one that is so soft it's not funny, and it's really, really sticky and destroys your knife blades and that type of stuff. Don't mix the two up in the packet if you don't want them to accidentally harden. I'll just put them in there for now and I'll fix it up later. This is the one that I hate working with because it's so damn solid. I'll take my wedding ring off, don't tell my wife. Yeah, it's just so freaking solid. It's just really, really annoying. I'm sure there is a better way of working with this stuff. But, I don't know what it is. So I'll just keep poking and poking and poking and moving it around, and really exciting stuff. So I might fast forward this bit. All right. Finally now at a stage where I can mix the two together. And again, this is heaps of different ways of doing it. This is the way I do it. I'm sure there are better ways of doing it. As you can see, it goes different colors. You want to get that so it's all one color, no streaks, blah, 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 blah. So again, I will just fast forward this bit. All right, so again, that looks like it's pretty well done. Again, just making sure there's no lumpy bits of the not yellow stuff. Again, do double check when you're using these putties, especially the ones that aren't specifically designed for modeling. You don't want a bit of I don't know what the difference between the two are. One's kind of like a reactor and the other's the actual putty. I don't know, I'm making stuff up. But yeah, you want to make sure that there's no lumps of that other stuff, And really, all you have to do is jam it in. It's, again, not that difficult. Use fingers. This stuff works well with water as well. So if you find it not so much drying out, but not sticking to your fingers or whatever, get a little cup of water that I pre-prepared before, and you can wet your fingers and it will actually help you out a little bit. Help you smooth and all that type of thing. So again, we're still going. This stuff can get really messy, as you can see with your fingers. So again, basic safety warning, because people are stupid. No, I didn't say that. People do silly things, myself included. Make sure you clean your hands before you do anything like eat or touch your face or anything else that involves touching stuff that you don't want to put this stuff on. I guess the question is how much do you want to put in there? I think squeeze in as much as you can get in there. Just move it down because it's easier to clean up afterwards. easier to take away than it is to add. And again, doing it this way, pretty quick, pretty effective way of doing it. But as you can see, and maybe it's just me, I don't know, it's also really messy and gets everywhere. So there's going to be a lot of cleanup on this after it dries, unless you kind of get into it and you know, really try and clean as you go. So as you can see, I'm squeezing it down. Slice that off. Slice that off. And as I said, this stuff will ruin a hobby knife blade. So lucky they're cheap. I think, you know, that's getting there. We can again just start to pull off extra bits just to save on the cleanup later. And what I'll effectively do now is I'll just come in and clean this up off camera because I can't really see what I'm doing at the moment, and get that back to a nice cleanish state. Giving this a bit of a clean up, trying to get all the putty out of the cracks. Again, I really rushed through that, and not my best filling attempts. As I said, a lot of this will obviously just sand out, but the more I can get out now whilst it's wet, makes that clean up just a bit easier. As I said, there are people out there that can use 2-part putty a lot better than I can. A bit of clean up. You could probably use a bit of ISO or something to get in and really, I guess, dissolve. I'm sure there's some sort of chemical that we can use to get in and clean up. Clean out this stuff. But honestly, that will just get in and, you know, a lot of that will sand away. So let's just leave that for the moment and see how we go. So yeah, as you can see, as I said, we'll sand that down so it's a lot smoother, but just trying to get it as smooth as possible. Again, yeah, pretty happy with that. So it's still a little bit of cleanup, but I'm sure once it starts to dry, it'll come off a lot easier than it does whilst it's all sticky and horribly wet. So yeah, step 3, part A. As I said, I'll show you probably the way that I probably would do it instead of using putty. I'm not a big fan of putty. Alright, so the other way that I would do this would actually just to use pla-plate and just glue the bloody thing on. Again, nice and simple. Really easy way of doing it. This is sort of how I do it. Always start big and work your way in. As I said, it's easier to do it this way. So just cut the plate out. there. My glue. You could, if you wanted, put a piece of pla rod in here to act as like a stable, but look, it's a cheap kit. Actually, look, I will put in something. So just reaching over here off camera, and a piece of styrene, like just a bit of whatever off a kit. Like that. No, still too big. Measure twice, cut once, and let's put that in there like that. Ah, well done. That'll work. Again, I am using a, I'm not going to say it's a custom mix. I don't use proper cement. I use what's called MEK, which is different uses in different industries. And it basically just melts the crap out of plastic. Done, and that's stuck. As I said, nice and simple. Move it around a little bit. Relatively cheap, so it doesn't really matter, how much you use. And what I do like about it, as compared to other thin cements, that if I was to spill this on there like that, it doesn't really leave a residue other than me now touching it. Alright, so sorry, my camera ran out of space. So when you're putting this stuff on, I want to make sure that it doesn't bend. I probably could bend it like that, but no, I want to do it as two separate parts. So I'm just going to make sure that fits on like that. So I will cut off how much. Make sure I do a lot. Get my goo. And basically just put it on. So it's pretty simple stuff, really. And there's that one. And again, get the glue. And put that on there. Like it, heaps easier than the plaster, or the putty, sorry. Not as solid as the putty, so they both have their pros and cons. And then what I'll do is, when I'm happy that that's dry, I will just cut around it and then sand it. When I sand it, use my sanding stick. Do not sand down. Sand it up, because obviously if you're sanding down, you're just going to take the plate away from the part. So again, sand in the direction of the plate. So if it's that way, it's going up. If it's that way, it's going down. But realistically, it's just a matter of then trimming stuff off. Again, don't take it too close. I'll leave a little bit of a gap. It's really simple technique. And then when you're happy that that's dry, you can actually come in and trim right around it, and then sort of sand it into place. So that's it. That's like step 4, step 5. So they're the two ways to fill in a hollow shoe or boot. As I said, really simple stuff. And then, as I say, if you sand up, so you're not knocking it down. So you need to kill a bit of sand. So you want to sand it up. get it as close as you can. And yeah, that's effectively it. I said I'll come in and sand that in a second. Actually, I might do it now. It's dry enough. So again, I'll speed this bit up. Right, so again, that seems to have come out quite nicely. Again, probably have to just give this a quick wash. And you see, this is a lot cleaner way of doing something. Again, come in, not too sure, and just with a file. Again, this one I wouldn't rip this way because it'll catch on that edge. Probably use again the biggie just to really rip that flat. Got this at my local hardware store. It is a woodworking tool, but nice little size for working with plastic. Get in there. So I keep coming off camera. There's actually about a foot between my chest and the camera. I'm standing up at the moment, so I can actually view for the camera what I'm doing. I keep pulling it into my stomach so I can see. But yeah, as you can see, it's again, it's a lot quicker way because this is still, it's still drying. As you can see, it's going to take a while to dry. And this is a lot quicker way of doing it, and I actually think it's a more effective way of doing it. But again, just showing you the two techniques. So as I said, so yeah, not too bad. A pile of easy mods. Cut.
The next day.
Alright, so it's the next day, different shirt. Yes, I've just done the intros to 4 other videos, so if you look at this shirt and go, hey, that looks familiar, and what, alright, shut up. So just as a follow-up on the stuff that I did yesterday. So the V-Fin, you probably can't really see it. I just have to check in the video that it's coming up. Come on, such a delay between this screen and the next one. Yeah. Alright, so yeah, that's come out fine. No dramas there. The feet, I'm actually really stoked with. So I'll do some better close-ups of this. But yeah, this is the one with the styrene. Very happy with that. And I guess the judging shot for me is to hold the foot up, like that, and look through, and can I see any white sticking through? And as you can see, no white sticking through. Pretty cool with that. The one with the putty, I actually got a box cutter. I use this knife here. Sorry, reach across the camera. Nice big wide blade. And essentially just went whooshka straight across, and then got in and sanded it. And again, no residue, no putty left over. Pretty cool. And it does actually sit flat. Not that you can see that now on the table pushing that down, but it does actually sit flat, not a dramas. Hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching. Check you next time.